I'm parked right now, so.
So you will be able to do video then, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to find the right one. But I mean, I've had to do it this way before. I could do video either way.
Well, I think the Brown Act requires you to do video.
We have to, we need to appear when we can, but
yeah.
Okay, we are live on YouTube. 4, 5, 6. Is 6 a quorum?
I think it is.
Okay,
Yes,
so
it is.
we will go ahead and get started then. It is 6 p.m. So we'll call the October 20th, 2021 meeting of the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Commission to order. Because the meetings are currently being held remotely, the options for comment include emailing public comments at shra.org, and they'll be read into the record during the meeting. Comments may also be made by phone by dialing 888-970-1444. To comment during the citizens' comments agenda item, please call after roll call. And to comment on a specific agenda item, please call the beginning of that agenda item. We're going to ask all commissioners and participants to keep their microphones muted unless they're speaking. And we probably should turn off our phones too, which I did not do yet. So give me just a second as I kill my ringer. Okay, we're set. And during the meeting, I'll call on people as they raise their hands, either electronically or in the screen. With that, we'll go ahead and do roll call. Lyra.
Amanfor? Oh, am I on mute? Amanfor?
Aye. I'm here.
Yes. Boyd? Morgan?
Here.
Nunley?
Here.
Ospany? Ross?
Here.
Tajabu?
Here.
Ospany?
Give her just a second for.
Yeah, I guess the audio's out. Starks is not. Starks? Wu?
Present.
Osmany? Oh, she's still connecting.
Okay.
Osmany?
Here?
Yes. You have a quorum.
Work that time.
Okay. We're going to hear items 1 and 2 together tonight. Is there any other changes to the agenda that anyone's aware of? Seeing none, the agenda is set as submitted with that one exception. Remind anybody who has public comments, if you're interested, please submit them to public comments at shra.org or call in at 888-970-1444.
I have one.
Okay. Before you take that one, can you read the paragraph for public comments for us, please?
Certainly. While the commission welcomes and encourages participation in the commission meetings, please limit your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone may be heard. SHRA provides opportunities for the public to address the commission at this time in order to listen to opinions regarding non-agendized matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of SHRA. Consistent with the Brown Act, the public comment periods on the agenda are not intended to be question and answer periods or conversations with commission members. Members of the public with questions are encouraged to contact staff before or after the meeting. Members of the public wishing to provide comment should either email comments to publiccomments@shra.org or present them verbally by calling 888-970-1444.
Okay, and you have one comment?
I do. So this comment is from, it came in a little earlier today. This comment is from Trisha Turner. And she states, I was understanding that applications submitted for people who were past due and with very little income were put into a lottery to be helped first. 2 weeks after submitting my application, along with every document required, I have not heard one thing and now facing eviction and homelessness. If this program was designed for what you are saying, shouldn't I have been helped by now? My EDD has suddenly stopped. I can't afford to lose my home as well. Please help. And I can tell you this has already been sent to staff and addressed.
Cool. Thank you. So that'll take us to the minutes. Is there any changes to the minutes as they were submitted? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as submitted. That brings us to business items 1 and 2, the 2022 Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency proposed budget, city and county reports.
Thank you, Chair Morgan. We're going to be doing the presentation tandem. It will be my CFO. Let me make sure I get her here. There you go. There's Susie. You look like you're kind of short there.
Yeah, I
But we're going to be doing the presentation. Susie's going to start off and talk about the financials, and then I'll wrap it up. One of the things that you have had the opportunity is to hear from all of our different departments and a lot of detail about the work that we do, and also how our whole budget comes together. So this is kind of the capstone of all of that. But we're not going to go back over everything, but we're definitely going to hit the highlights. So, Susie?
Right. Thank you very much. My name is Susanna Jackson, Chief Financial Officer here at SHRA, and I'm here to present to you the 2022 budget for the agency. Okay. So I'm very excited to present to you today. It follows the same format of previously submitted budgets that have won awards from both the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers and the Government Finance Officers Association, also known as GFOA. This is a balanced budget for the period of January through December and incorporates the activities of the housing authorities of the city and the county of Sacramento. This includes various federal entitlement funds, local housing funds administered by the agency for both the city and the county. So the total estimated resources necessary to fund the projects, operations, and programs for the agency is $347.1 million. The majority of our funding is from different federal resources that are estimated about $205.8 million. These programs include housing choice vouchers, public housing, the capital fund, and our newly created emergency rental assistance program. The remaining 177.5 consists of state and local sources, such as housing trust, affordable housing fees, and other miscellaneous housing programs. So this slide will show you how we propose to use the $347.1 million. We have $130.7 million in housing assistance payments, $66.7 million estimated in the emergency rental assistance program payments, $78.4 million of capital projects, $38.7 million of salaries and benefits, $24.1 million in services and supplies, as well as $5.7 million in public services. We also have $2.2 million in debt service and about $600,000 in various financial transactions. This shows you a side-by-side budget from 2018 through 2022. Again, this details each of the categories explained on the previous slide for a total of $347.1 million. This is an increase. Now, for those of you who may not have been a part of the 2021 budget, we did a roll forward budget from 2020 to 2021 due to COVID. This process obviously is a lot of meetings, and it was a little difficult during that time to also continue our mission to assist everyone in our communities and the people that we serve. So we did a roll forward budget, which is why you see such a large increase from adopted budget from year to year. So this 2022 proposed budget represents about a 62.8% increase from when we adopted it originally in 2020 because of the roll forward in 2021. And this increase is due primarily to the creation of the Sacramento Emergency Rental Assistance Program that did not exist prior to the fall of 2020. So the next few slides may look familiar. As you recall, several weeks ago when we began the budget process and we discussed about the revenues that come in for some of our major programs. This chart reflects the HAP revenues, expenses, and lease-up percentages. So as you can see, while the lease-up percentages is 89% in 2020 and 2021, our HAP expenses are higher than previous periods. So this highlights not only the difficulty of voucher holders being able to find housing, it really highlights just how much that 89% lease-up costs the agency of the HAP funds that we do receive, which we do utilize almost 100% of our allocation from HUD. We anticipate that going forward in 2022. This illustrates the historical revenue trends of the public housing program. So you can see 2020 was a good year for 21.6 million combined for both the city and the county. We did receive some increased funding due to the CARES Act. So as you see moving forward into 2022, we do anticipate smaller amounts both for this year and next, mostly due to the decrease in public housing units because the RAD and the Section 18 dispositions that we did in 2020 and 2021. So SHRA 2, or the Sacramento Emergency Rental Assistance Program, is something that we like to talk about a lot around here because we are helping a lot of people within our communities. So this chart represents since April the expenditures that we had between the city and the county for this program. So it started off in April with about 1.9 million, and we've jumped all the way in August and September in excess of $12 million that have gone out to the communities to help people remain in their homes. So this concludes my portion of the presentation, and I will hand it back over to Executive Dozier, and she will complete the presentation.
Great, thank you, Susie. One of the things that Susie was talking about was the fact that last year we had a roll forward budget. So because we were in the midst of the pandemic, we really did just roll forward all of the information from the previous year with some slight adjustments. So tonight I really did want to highlight some of the things that have happened as a result of the pandemic. And you've had a chance to hear from all of the different departments. So I don't want to reiterate those things, but I do want to highlight those that are most important. So there's 5 main areas that I want to focus on. And so those 5 main areas are the pandemic response in terms of what the agency had to do to kind of pivot and address a lot of the things that came at us very, very quickly. Our homeless response, what we've been doing to really play a key role within the city and county in addressing homelessness, continuing our mission of affordable housing production. And then on the public housing side, our conversion to RAD, and also our Choice Neighborhoods Initiative in Mirasol Village. So the first thing is our pandemic response. When the pandemic was officially recognized in March of 2020, which shut down the state, like everyone else, we had to respond very, very quickly and react. In fact, the governor issued the notice, I believe on a Wednesday. We were out on a Thursday, and by Friday, all of the executive team was back in the office and starting to put together an aggressive plan of how we would bring up operations, which started the following Monday. So by that Monday, after this shutdown, we were issuing computers, sending people home, setting up all kinds of external ways for us to really continue the work of making sure that people stayed housed. It was a very essential strategy. Staff worked really, really hard during the crisis to put together a response that would really keep everyone safe during that time. We established a lot of protocols and policies in terms of how we would work and how we would serve our customers and still continue to meet the mission and goals of the organization. So internally, we put together all of those policies and procedures. We kept staff informed through Zoom meetings. We installed new technology to implement telework scheduling for more than 200 employees. And then we also had to relocate staff in safe, distanced workplaces. So we had to go through, look at every single workplace and make sure that it had the proper protective equipment in place. It had screen guards. We also put in touch-free sanitizing stations, personal protective equipment, temperature checks, masks, gloves, everything, you name it. We were really covering all bases. Then prior to the vaccine coming out, we contracted for services from a COVID testing site for our employees to receive regular testing. And we actually hosted some of those COVID testing sites here at our office as well. Once the vaccine was available, we assisted staff in getting registered for the vaccine because if you recall, it was really pretty difficult to figure out how you could get your vaccine. And so our staff really worked hard to get a lot of people in and get that vaccine. Additionally, we provided incentives for employees to get vaccinated, which did receive a very favorable response. Externally, in terms of working with our residents, we were very, very concerned about, especially our seniors. And here you see a picture of meal delivery to seniors that our staff really worked with the City of Sacramento and the Great Plates program to ensure that they had meals delivered to their homes. We also did extensive deep cleaning and sanitizing at some sites that were impacted by COVID. We partnered, again, like I said, with the city on the Great Plates program. And then we also set up vaccination clinics and informal Zoom meetings with health experts for our residents so that they could get the vaccine as well. So a lot of work effort has gone into it. And then one thing I really want to emphasize in terms of our pandemic response also is that we're still in the middle of the pandemic. It has not gone away. We still are operating with all of these different protocols in place. We still are working remotely and having lots of employees are still working from home and come in the office in a hybrid model. And in addition to that, you know, we are doing appointments with our residents. So we are still working very, very hard to deliver services. It is not back to business as usual. The other thing, and Susie talked about this, was our SHRA program, our Sacramento Emergency Rental Assistance. And this program was another way for us to quickly respond to what the needs were in the community for those people impacted by COVID. The city did an excellent job of doing a pilot program with some of their own funds before the state and the federal government stepped in with emergency rental assistance funds. In addition, you know, it says here, obviously we help pay past due rent and utilities, and landlords can apply. But we also felt it was important to reach out and work with all those community-based organizations. So there's 14 different community-based organizations who still continue to this day to get the word out. I guess the one thing I really want to emphasize here is that this program has not gone away and it is not going away. So we actually have received additional funds in terms of funding for the program. So that funding in round one came to almost 100 million, so $96.9 million. And then round two, which is the next tranche of funding, we're looking at another $84 million that we will receive for our jurisdiction. And this will go on for at least another 2 to 3 years. So we're very excited about the fact that we can help people stay housed and stay in their homes. So we did touch again on terms of how much is dispersed. So to date, we have got $7.2 million into the hands of over 9,000 households. So that's collectively between the city and county, 69% of the funds have been expended. As you can see, the city, we've expended almost all of the funds, 92, and we still have some more funds within the county to expend. So this is off that first tranche of funding, the almost $100 million in terms of where we are. And we continue to work with them. And as you can see, you know, this program has a lot of individuals who are applying. I think we received over 20,000 applications. So we're working as fast as we can. We know that people are waiting to hear from us, and the staff. We have had to staff up to bring on a tremendous number of staff to understand, know the program, get the program up and running, and get dollars out the door within a very short period of time. And I just really want to say thank you to our staff who's worked so hard on this to make sure that these funds are getting into the hands of people who really need it. It's really incredible what they've been able to do in such a short period of time. And then in terms of other things that we have been working on that's really critical is our response to homelessness. In terms of the shelters, we oversee the 3 shelters at Meadowview and X Street Navigation Centers. These are pictures of what the inside of the shelters look like. And this is through a partnership with the city. We administered all 3 of these. So most recently, the X Street Navigation Center opened in September to serve up to 100 people living on the streets in the surrounding areas. Currently, and I think we've only been open for about 2, maybe 3 weeks, there are 52 guests who have come into the shelter. The kennels are full. We have, I believe, 9 or more pets who have also been welcomed into the center. And we are very, very proud of the work that's going on there, but it is a lot of work. And then at our Meadowview Navigation Center, which opened last year in South Sacramento, it had capacity for up to 100 women. We were temporarily stalled in terms of COVID, but now our numbers have increased and we have 94 women who are at that shelter. So in addition to Meadowview and X Street, if you remember back in June of 2020, we began overseeing operations for the emergency housing. There we go. Okay. There we go. Overseeing operations at Emergency Bridge Housing at the Grove in North Sacramento. This is a community of 24 cabins that serves unsheltered transitional age youth ages 18 to 24. We know that this is a young segment of the population that's less likely to become chronically homeless if we stabilize them now. So I'm so proud of the work that's been going on out there. It's a very youth-centric coordinated entry system with robust wraparound services, and obviously focuses on housing first and trauma-informed care. It provides supportive services for those youth who are transitioning into permanent affordable housing. And we work at this site with First Step Communities. They're the resource provider at the St. Paul Church of God in Christ, which has been a critical partner and has really helped us in the community with this project. And currently we've served 147 guests, and 54 of the youth have exited the program into housing. So going back to Capitol Park, you all recall our first shelter effort. That was the 180-room Capitol Park Hotel, which was planned to be rehabbed by Mercy. And so we pivoted and said this might be a great opportunity to use it as a shelter until it actually starts conversion. So we actually moved forward with that from September 2019 to June 2020. As you know, it was a difficult, difficult situation because the building was showing all of its age. But we got through it all. We served 428 guests, and 140 of them transitioned into permanent supportive housing. Here we have an individual who really talks about his time at Capitol Park and says there are no words to describe the helplessness you experience when homelessness hits. It was great to have the shelter to help me get back on my feet. And so there were so many great stories like that out of Capitol Park. It was a great opportunity for a partnership between not only the city, but also funds received from the county, like No Place Like Home. And we think that the housing here should be available in summer of 2022. So the next one is our Project Home Key. We've been talking a lot about that. I won't go into a lot of detail, but there's a picture there of La Mancha, which was our first one. We received an award there for permanent supportive housing. Those funds through Project Home Key, there's $1.5 billion in this round. And those funds have to be spent within 8 months of the award. So it's critical that we find projects that have minimal rehab to meet our goal of housing individuals within the timeline. Home Key was our first one with a partnership with Mercy Housing, and it's located on La Mancha, so hence the name. And it's fully occupied, providing stable housing for formerly homeless individuals. So in addition to that, we also received approval from, going back one more, we received approval for Vista Nuevo, and that's permanent supportive housing for families with at least one child. And this is located in North Natomas. So that application is being submitted to the state for funding under Project Home Key. And then last night, and you saw this one previously, the council by unanimous vote approved the agency to submit now our third Home Key project, the Best Western at Sutter House, which now is known as Central Sacramento Studios, for 92 units of permanent supportive housing that is literally in our backyard. So we're excited about that. So in order to have all of these programs and people who are living in shelters and transitional housing, there has to be somewhere to transition to. And so at the core of who we are and what we do is our affordable housing production. And I know Tyrone did a great presentation and talked about all of the different lending that we have done and what we have committed in that in the last round. There's been $6.3 million on the county side and 7.3, but that money is used to leverage millions and millions and millions of dollars. So on our next slide, this really shows kind of the pipeline, what we have completed. 711 units of affordable housing have been completed. Under construction is 652 affordable units, including 392 of those are permanent supportive housing, and we list all the projects there. And then in the pipeline is over 1,000 affordable units, with 235 of those as permanent supportive housing. And that's really where our focus is in looking this next year, is how to get all of these projects funded. It is imperative that we receive the funding that we need. We have the local, but we need the state to come through with those resources. But there is a huge demand throughout the state of California. So jurisdictions are not backing off from their responsibility to be a part of the solution for affordable housing and are submitting applications, but it is highly competitive. And the state is doing a lot to keep up with it, but we need all the help we can get from not only the state level, but the federal level as well. Then over on the public housing side is our rental assistance demonstration. This allows us to convert from the public housing platform. We've talked a lot about this, so I won't go into a whole bunch of detail, but this gives us now a stable long-term funding source for public housing. And for many, many years, there had been such a disinvestment in public housing that we were doing the best that we could with very limited resources. Now that we have this new tool, we are taking full advantage of that. It will take us quite some time but the first RAD pilot was completed, 124 units last year. The next one is now on its way. Our 2 elderly high rises downtown are slated, and then we will continue to methodically move through the entire portfolio. But it is the first time I know since I have been here where we have been able to not only do all of the exterior work, but actually get into the units and make a lot of upgrades and improvements for the benefit of our residents. Because we know that, you know, public housing residents are really grateful for a lot of the housing that we provide, and it gives them an opportunity to really make sure that they have a roof over their heads and they have shelter, and they're not in a situation where they're worrying about where they're going to be. And so then that brings us to, in terms of initiatives in public housing, you know, our, you know, cornerstone and our wonderful project through our Choice Neighborhoods initiative. For those members who are not on the commission, you know, this is a labor of love we've been working on for a very long time. And so it's so exciting to see that it's now coming to fruition. It was formerly just 218 units of public housing. And in 2012, we received a $300,000 Choice Neighborhoods Planning Grant, which supported the process of putting together a blueprint for this new community. And now we're starting to see that. That was followed by an extremely competitive $30 million Choice Neighborhoods Implementation Grant, only 1 in 5 in the nation that received it. And it was so exciting. We were so thrilled that we got $30 million. But when you look at this project, is $300 million. So that was just the seed money to get us started, but it was what we needed. It was the jump start to really change the lives of the people who are living there. There's been a huge, huge interest. There's almost 1,000 people on the interest list to live at Mirasol Village, and we will be looking at welcoming those residents back early spring of next year. And this, we couldn't be more proud of all of the hard work that the staff has done. And it's not just the work that's there on site. It has really been the catalyst for all kinds of projects throughout the River District. We received a huge award to put in the light rail station. There's going to be housing across the street at that light rail station after we finish up here at Mirasol, but we're down to that last phase of this project. And we are really kind of coming in under the wire. So we're doing everything we can to secure funding for the final phase of the project. Once we do, we'll be able to sleep better at night, knowing that we finally have put a bow on it, and HUD will stop breathing down our necks, and we will get this project wrapped up. But there's still more to go. It's not just once we finish this, we'll finish out the HUD portion of this, but then there is still, like I said, the housing that's across the street, you know, that will be constructed after the light rail station is in. There's additional property that we own. We are also looking at some opportunities to even increase some of the housing on site, given some of the changes that we are having discussions with the city about. So this is just really the beginning of many, many great things to come for Mirasol Village and for that portion of the River District that for so many years was overlooked, and our residents were locked into an industrial area with not many amenities and very difficult to navigate. And now they are going to be the crown jewel of a very thriving development. So with that, what questions do you have?
Okay. Raise your hand one way or the other and we'll call on you. Cecile, go ahead.
Sorry, I got frozen out for part of the presentation. But I did want to go back to the first budget presentation. I think Susan was doing the presentation. And I just wanted to confirm on that first slide, what was sent to us, I think is slightly different. The at least what I printed out from Lyra's email.
Yes, it was revised. It's as unusual, but it was revised after it was sent.
Okay, because I think on the first slide that I have, I believe they were talking about 346 million. And yeah, what you guys have are different numbers. So I'm assuming those add up correctly because the slide that I have added up to 365. So there was a math error on that one. And I didn't know if anyone was aware of that. So if you guys caught that, great. I don't need to say any more because you obviously caught it, which is good.
We knew that you would see it. So we're like, we better make sure we double check those numbers. And we appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want you to go to the city. It's like you present it to us and then you go to the city and there's still the same mistake. And it's like,
thank you.
The other thing that I did want to take the time is I love getting the full budget packet, which I believe is the full budget packet, if I'm not mistaken, that will be going to the city and the county. And I appreciate that because I know it's a lot of hard work and you have all of those standards that you have to meet. So I just want to say thank you so much for all the hard work. And I know you and your staff have to put a lot of time into that. I did spend some time going over it. I haven't gone through all of it just yet, but I will. But I did want to say thank you so much for presenting everything, because sometimes when you have that scaled down version, it's just not enough information. And with this, you can really see all of the projects and everything that's going on. So thank you very much to you and your staff.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Cecile. Martin, I can't tell if you're raising your hand or not. So, Barry, I see you got your hand up. Go ahead, Barry.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'll be on a device with a camera momentarily. Lachelle, in the presentation recap or summarization that you were giving, that you stated that there are 1,000 houses in the pipeline for the city of Sacramento. Could you tell us just a quick breakdown, not of their single dwelling, multi-unit, so forth, so on, but just the location per district of those 1,000?
Okay, so do you see the slide that's up?
Yes, unfortunately, the device I'm on is a little small. Oh,
okay, so in the pipeline, there's 1,010 affordable units. And so we list those out. Now, I don't have the actual numbers of each one, but Villa Hardin, Coral Gables, you're familiar with. That's across the street from the Meadowview Center.
Right.
And then Mirasol Village, as you know, is off of 12th Street as you come into downtown.
Mm-hmm.
On Broadway is on Broadway. Okay. That is located at Broadway and 20. I can't remember, but it is located on Broadway. And then Cornerstone is located, I know, in Supervisor Patrick Kennedy's district. And then Saybrook is also located in the county and Supervisor Kennedy's district. Then 39th and Broadway is located at 39th and Broadway. And same with Stockton Boulevard, 4996.
I think we get it.
And then Mutual on the Boulevard is also located off of, I believe, Stockton Boulevard as well.
Okay, some of the names I mean, the street names, yeah, no problem. But some of these names, the Mutual on Mutual on the Boulevard, I'm like, okay, just wasn't familiar. Quick question: you stated I guess it did happen during the council meeting yesterday when you were speaking in regards to, not the council meeting, but the housing authority meeting early afternoon, requesting the authorization to apply for the funding for the hotel downtown or motel downtown to be converted. And my device glitched, so I didn't hear the outcome, but it sounds like City Council voted in favor for you guys to apply for funding to convert that downtown motel into low-income housing.
Yes, in fact, they did. The City Council sitting as the Housing Authority Board yesterday at 2 o'clock did go ahead and by unanimous vote approve us moving forward with the application for that project.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. I just hadn't had time to go back to the archives. Well, thank you for that. And if I think of another question, I'll raise my hand again. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Barry. Any others? I see Cecile's got her hand up and
Sorry for the background noise. The other thing that I totally forgot about. I did get the one presentation, but the part with yours, I did not receive that at all. Is there any way that we could get a copy of that sent to us?
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Send that out to you.
okay. Barry, did you have another question now?
Sorry, I couldn't find my mic thing. Sorry, Chair, my mind isn't clicking that quick just yet, so we can keep moving though. Thank you.
Okay. Your hand popped back up, so I thought maybe I turned it off and you raised it back up, trying to drop it yourself. I do have one question, Lachelle, on the SHRA program. Generally speaking, what is the response time from when somebody applies?
From the time someone applies, first of all, they can go into the portal to make sure that their application is pending. And so once they confirm that the application is pending, it's probably about 4 weeks.
Okay.
Now we do go back, so it's not as if it is retroactive, but about 4 weeks. Sarah, is that? I see that Sarah's on the line. Is that about right?
Yes, that is about right. Now, of course, with the eviction moratorium having ended, we are getting a lot of calls, a lot of anxious individuals, and we're working also with the court system as well if they are being processed to go to court. So again, while we do say 4 weeks, it might take a little bit longer because we are getting a lot of escalated calls as well that we need to address as well. So.
Okay. I've been asked that question by people who were trying to apply and asking. And so I just needed to know so I could relay that on to how quickly to expect a response. Okay. Any other questions from any of the other commissioners? Any public comment on this item?
Gal, that was me. I had my hand up.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I just want to echo what you were saying earlier regarding the response time. I've gotten the same questions too from other people. Usually I try to advocate for these programs even in barbershops and everywhere around, and they've applied and I told them I was going to be on a call, and I said if they had any questions they can text me or call me, anything. They're still asking the same questions as to when the response time. I told them to be patient, but thanks for bringing that up, Gal. It's really helpful, and thank you for responding, Sarah, so that we can at least let them know that it may take some time. My only question is that if you guys haven't responded to them within at least 2 weeks, do you guys at least send anything or any confirmation besides just seeing the status?
At this time, we just have the status, and the reason is because our staff are just working so hard to process and to deal with the onslaught of just the calls and the applications. So at this time, it's just the status. But then we also have a communication center, with our phone number that they can call, and so they're able to also maybe ask questions personally and see if they can be answered.
And when they call, they probably would be given almost the same response as far as what's written in the system then, right? That it's still going through, it's still being processed?
For the most part, yes. and if there's any other, but they might have some additional questions that they might be able to, get answered as well. But you're right, they will be looking to see where it is in the process. And if it's in queue, then that is what the comp center would be telling them, to be patient at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
So actually, I get quite a few calls on the SHRA program because the third digit second digit in my phone number is one digit off from the number. So people tend to dial a 5 instead of a 4, and they get me. So that's probably why people call up. I got your number. I'm going, who's giving that out? Finally, I asked somebody, what number are you dialing? And I'm going, oh, okay.
If you train, Gail, you can help us with some of these calls.
I've taken a lot of SHRA calls, so I know why now. So let me check something here really quick. We need a motion and a second to approve the budget.
So moved.
Was that Daryl
Yes.
or Cecile?
Cecile, I'll second it.
Okay, that works. So Nunley motion and Wu second. Roll call, please.
Amanfor,
Aye.
Boyd,
Aye.
Morgan,
Aye.
Osmany,
Aye.
Nunley,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Schumacher Hodge. Oh, Stajabu,
Aye.
Starks,
Yes.
Wu.
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. I forgot to ask public comment on that.
No public comment.
Okay. So that takes us to item number 3, subsequent years authorization for solicitation, award, and approval of annual expenditure caps and per contract caps for routine services.
Yes, Sylvester is going to be doing the presentation on this one.
Good afternoon, good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Sylvester Donaldson, and I am the agency's Procurement and Contracts Program Manager. That report that I am presenting to you tonight is a report that the Procurement Services Department brings forward each year. We are recommending the adoption of the resolution authorizing the Executive Director, Dozier, or her designee to solicit competitive bids and proposals and to award and execute contracts for routine and recurring services for various agency operations. The agency utilizes approximately 75 routine or recurring services. Roughly half of them are maintenance services for our properties, landscaping, pest control, plumbing, HVAC repair. Other services used range from licensing agreements for various IT programs, softwares we use, outside legal services, architectural services, and other professional services. The services in attachment 1 of this staff report are those for which the Executive Director authorization expires at the end of this year. With your approval, we intend to solicit for most of these services in 2022. If the length of any contract is greater than 1 year, the resolution authorizes the Executive Director to amend the contract each subsequent year up to the annual dollar amounts listed up to the total number of years listed. We are allowed to contract for a maximum of 5 years for any specific service at the discretion of the agency. Funds for the above services will be budgeted in the requesting department's operating or project budgets. This concludes my report. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
All right, love it. Quick report. Questions, comments of commissioners? I don't see anybody bouncing. I don't see any hands. Is there any public comment on this item?
No public comment on this item.
I will take a motion.
I make a motion to approve the resolution as stated.
I'll second.
Motion by Nunley, second by Wu.
Amanfor,
Aye.
Boyd,
Aye.
Griffin, Oh, geez. Morgan,
Aye.
Osmany,
Aye.
Nunley,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Stajabu,
Aye.
Starks,
Yes.
Wu.
Yes.
The motion carries.
All right, thank you. Item 4, change in meeting time for Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Commission.
So as you know, last meeting, we had a conversation and we're talking about a discussion about change of meeting time. And so since that time, we've had an opportunity to gather some more information and data that we'd like to present. I have Jim Shields, our Deputy Executive Director of Administration, who's going to give a brief presentation and share a few slides.
Good evening, Chair Morgan and members of the commission. Thank you again for the opportunity to present this. If you remember in our last meeting, October 6th, we had a discussion and a request to change the time of the meeting. And in the conversation, a lot of questions were asked and a lot of information was requested of the agency. So we've gone back and taken a look at the last 12 months, which is 15 meetings. And what I do is I'd like to share that information with you, both how many people actually are viewing and then how many people over the last year have actually watched the YouTube videos. So with that, go ahead and show the, yeah, ready. Okay. So the first slide in the green section, we go back to last October, October 21st of 2020. What it shows here is in green, how many on average people are viewing the actual presentations or commission meetings as we meet. As a note, today, the 20th, there are actually 5 people that are watching right now on YouTube. So you can see the numbers. We go all the way from actually 1 person on July 7th of 2021, all the way up to a high of 6 individuals on February 17th of 2021. The orange shows how many people actually requested to speak during a meeting. And there were 6 people over this time frame of the last 15 meetings we had. So the next slide shows the number of hits that the YouTube meeting had. So for example, if you go to October 21st of 2020, there have been 82 hits since that day. Now, these are not the actual live meetings. This is actually after the fact, how many people have viewed these YouTube presentations. So we have a high of 147 in February, and we have the number of 55, which is back in August of this year. So I wanted to share this information with you to give you an opportunity to take a look at the numbers, and we wanted to open up the dialogue again and see if this helped you understand where we were at the meetings, and maybe we can come up with a recommendation for changing the time frame of the commission meeting. So with that, Michelle and I will entertain any questions that you may have.
So it looks like we're getting a lot more viewers than we had visitors over time.
Yes, that's true. Absolutely.
So even when we go back to in-person meetings, are we going to continue to put those out on YouTube to make them available?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's an important metric to be aware of on that.
Yes. We've actually redone the commission room where we have been able to set up actual communications and video, and so it's a lot different. It looks the same, but it's when it comes to communications, a lot different. So we're able to do this for the residents of Sacramento.
Cool. I see Cecile has her hand up, so we'll go to her.
Okay. One of the items that we mentioned at our last meeting as well was, what about alternating the meeting times so that one of the meetings would still remain at 6 and the other could be at a different time? And the whole point of that was we wanted to be sure that we still gave the public access, because that's the big issue. The public needs access. And we don't want to be in a situation where we're limiting their access, whether it's, I think someone mentioned last time about our typical audience is X, Y, or Z or something like that. But our actual constituents, and you can correct me, I think I was reading the budget report and Ms. Dozier, you talked about our actual constituents is the entire population of the city and the county, because sometimes when it comes to whether it's zoning laws, and I know that I see in my neighborhood, no to upzoning, those types of things. Those issues can also be important and have an impact at this commission meeting. So again, I'm still a little concerned that by changing it to the earlier time, how are we ensuring that we're still, if someone all of a sudden becomes interested in the commission for a particular issue, would they still have that opportunity to be able to speak if we go to that earlier time?
Is that a question?
Yeah. So, as far as from my perspective, and I'm just going to jump out here because I do have a perspective on this, and that is, I've been asking Lyra to read the emails, and if there's anybody online on the phone that wants to talk, those avenues are always available regardless of what time the meeting is. People can send an email, or a lot of times if they've got just a few minutes, they could jump off of something and give a call. So I don't think the time matters that much. As far as the people get direct services, a lot of the folks in the downtown area are retired, elderly, disabled. And I know that an earlier time for them is better, but that's, that's probably the ones that contact me directly the most, that are housed by the housing authority. And so for those folks, an earlier time would be better, but I can't speak for the rest of the world. They don't contact me that much.
Unless they dial the wrong number.
Yes.
Using 5.
Okay, let's go to Emmanuel next.
Yes, I guess my question is, I'm not sure, I think we only have one board member who's not available here. So if we were to take a vote, I would think it would be important to have all board members available prior to us actually taking a vote on this issue, particularly because it's going to also affect them. And I think the second thing that I want to raise is that I do understand that there are a lot of resources available for the public to be able to reach SHRA and ask questions via emails, phone calls, and so forth. And it's good. And I think that's something that I can definitely have confidence that they'll be able to reach out to the necessary resources. And as far as us changing the time, I would agree on that. More than likely, for a person speaking for me, I know it's more so personal for a lot of the commissioners here because we're trying to also adjust our own personal schedules and our own work schedule. But I think that depending on the time as far as when we would push it, have redetermined possible time. Can we start speaking? Or, I mean, if it's an interest, can I shoot out some possible times? Maybe we can have some type of consensus as far as if we're interested in doing those times or not. And I think my last thing is, I think, Cecilia, you had commented that maybe we could probably interchange, do one time, do the other. My only concern is just the inconsistency can really be effective, can really affect the residents, those who watch this, negatively, because they wouldn't be able to know when week would be changing. I mean, these are just anomalies that I'm just bringing up, but I think it'd be better for us to be consistent, so that everyone has all opportunity to be able to really engage in what we're trying to do here. So yeah, that's what I personally would vote for. Yes, I'm up for us changing the time, but we can definitely see what times are available.
Okay. Barry, you're next.
Thank you, Chair. To Jim and Lachelle, the first question is, if we do go back to in-person meetings, will there still be a virtual option for both commissioners and the general public?
We will be looking at kind of the hybrid option, because what I see is that probably all of local governments will probably go into a hybrid type of mode where they can provide it, because it is very useful, especially for people who have mobility issues, or, even if you're just trying to juggle your childcare, to be able to tune in and make a phone call versus, coming downtown. So yes.
And okay, just for clarity, so that's inclusive of commissioners as well, correct?
I have to talk, Brad.
Yeah.
Brad.
Hi, Commissioner Boyd, Brad Licano, General Counsel. So with respect to commissioners, if we do end up going back to an in-person forum, unless something is further changed to the Brown Act, commissioners would be allowed to participate remotely. However, the biggest caveat to that is that a notice would have to be provided to the public at that particular location that each and every one of the commissioners is going to participate from. And under the current law, the commissioners would also be obligated to provide access to the public at those locations. So in other words, if you were at home attending the meeting remotely, you would not only have to post a notice at your home that the public could view, but also you would have to let the public into the teleconference space that you're attending from. So again, unless something further is amended within the Brown Act, that would be the requirement for any commissioner participating remotely.
A quick question on that. Last thing that you stated in regards to allowing the public into the participation space that the virtual commissioner is participating from, is that the same as the general public logging into the Zoom meeting?
No, that refers to if we were to have a meeting in chambers, and similar to how the public can attend the meeting in chambers, the public would need to be allowed to participate wherever the commissioner was attending virtually or remotely. So for instance, if you were at a hotel, if you were participating in your hotel room, you would have to let the public into your hotel room. If you were in your house, you would have to let the public attend inside your house. If you were in an outdoor space, the public could sit next to you in the outdoor space. But most of the time, a remote participation would probably infer that you were indoors.
Right. That's what I was going for clarity, but the whole issue, or not issue, but the reasoning behind the virtual any meeting is the health issue of distancing. So with that stated, I understand, I'll get to AB, whatever it is that's sitting on the governor's desk now. The participation through the source of the virtual source of whichever commissioner, isn't that the same for the general public attending in that commissioner's virtual space via the connected to the same Zoom link versus in person?
No, so the Brown Act takes into consideration remote participation or teleconferencing participation, regardless of any like health emergency, regardless of any of that. There are provisions within the Brown Act that contemplate and provide for this. But without the exemption or the exception that we are currently relying upon, if our ability to rely on that exemption went away due to the fact that the situation for COVID improves drastically and they remove these social distancing measures, if a commissioner would want to participate remotely, the Brown Act requires that they open up their public space or their space to the public, even if it's a private space. So that is the normal Brown Act requirement. And right now, the reason that you guys don't have to allow the public within your own viewing space is based solely on the exemption that exists due to the health emergency that the state and the county have put forth.
Gotcha. And okay, that's laid out fantastic. I just wanted to hear you say it. Just checking to make sure I understood. And with that, as you said, the exception. So if AB, I can't think of the number, 1845, don't quote the number, but again, that's sitting on the governor's desk, that would make it law that all governmental meetings would be have the opportunity for both in-person and or virtual. So once it becomes a law, exemption isn't needed. So it would refer back into the Brown Act as we're all covered because it is now a law versus an exemption. Okay,
Correct.
we're good.
If there is some legislative change that would permit that without mandating that the public also be allowed to participate in that teleconferencing location, then it would be permitted. But currently the law does not allow for that, but for this exemption that currently exists due to the health emergency from COVID.
Gotcha. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate that.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Did I cut you off? Okay. Just two quick questions. Commissioner Amiford actually alluded to it. I was going to ask what times are being considered. We can come back to that one once we all have given our input. And the last one being, well, let me see if I can read through my chicken scratch real quick. To Commissioner Amiford, or maybe it was a commissioner or a chair, one of the two of you had stated in regards to the robust avenues to contact SHRA. To that, I want to bring out what Commissioner Nunley said in regards to the availability for the general public who may not get off of work until 5, 6 p.m., so forth. The option to contact, or excuse me, the option to interact with the SHRA Commission as we're debating an agenda item so they can have put forth their input before an item goes to vote. That is just, again, just echoing what Commissioner Nunley had stated. But with that, I'm open to all, viable options and what works best for all of us. So just wanted to end on that. Thank you.
All right. I believe, Martin, you have your hand up next.
Yes. Hi. Let me lower my hand, I think. Okay. Yes, thank you. Excellent presentations, and also commissioners' feedback from everyone. Nunley, Amanfor, etc. I think these were very good comments, and I also took time to go over all the presentation material that was shown earlier, and those were excellent. And it spoke to me regarding the gravity, also what Commissioner Boyd had said, but it also spoke to me regarding the gravity and the importance of the work that SHRA does. And even though the statistics indicated that there may be low participation at times, I still think, as Commissioner Nunley was mentioning, that it's extremely important that we allow all avenues of accessibility. I think the time we have is good. I also think a variable time is also an option. I think bringing all the times to what was proposed last time of 4 o'clock would be an inhibitor to inviting citizen participation. I do not believe that it really matters whether there's low participation or not. We always have to encourage high participation and give people opportunity to do so. To take that possibility away from them would be doing a disservice to those citizens that may one day choose and want to participate. So for the record, I would not be in favor of moving everything to 6 o'clock. I would not support that. I would support other options, other time frames, variable time frame, or keeping the time frame as is. I think variable also gives different people possibilities, whether, because we can't assume that some people may have difficulty in the evening, some people may prefer, or later evening at 6, and some may prefer a 4 o'clock time. So I see the merits in that. Anything other than that, of making it all during business time, I would not support that.
Okay. Job, you're next.
Okay, yeah, I would like to support the 4 o'clock time for a number of reasons. One, because it's easier for me to get around during the daylight. And because I represent the senior population, I know my friends and the elders in our community do not go out at dark. And a lot of us do not drive anymore. So I've asked most people who do events in my community to do them at a time that seniors can attend. Seniors are some of the most vocal and highly participating people in these meetings. They're not young kids, they're not the working people. If you go to any of these meetings that are controversial, you'll see a lot of seniors. And I think it's important that we not be excluded because of the hour. A lot of us go to bed at 8 o'clock. So I would like you to know that I support the earlier meeting time. And I think everyone will have access to our commission through all the various technologies that are now available to us. Plus, City Council also hears the same things that we hear. People will have a chance to address them, and the Board of Supervisors. So yes, I'll be voting in the affirmative for a 4 o'clock meeting. Thank you.
All right. Cecile, you're next.
I was going to go back to what Commissioner Ross said, as well as Commissioner Amanfor. I think it is critical, and I think it's a very good point where we do need consistency, even though I would support the switching back and forth. But I can understand that sometimes if you always know the meeting is at 6 o'clock, then you always know the meeting is at, every other Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And that is a value, because people kind of get that in their head and then they know when the commission meetings are. So I can respect that. I still, though, have a huge concern of the 4 o'clock, just because there are so many, even if they're working virtually, as some of my neighbors are, that they still have to work until 5. And I'm concerned about changing it to 4 o'clock, and you have people that still have to work. And they can't, even though there's emails or there's this or there's that, and you can say, oh, I sent my email in. There is something to be said for going to the public meeting, standing up at the podium, and really making your voice heard with the emotion, as well as with a lot of the tones, that it can make that impact. And I think if we're holding those meetings at 4, my huge concern is that we're cutting a lot of people off. I do understand, as Commissioner Stajabu says, that there are seniors that maybe don't want to come out after dark and some of the other things, but I just can't see cutting off a number of the population to never have the opportunity or have very limited opportunity. So I'm still concerned about that 4 o'clock, and I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, Jasmine, you're next.
So I wanted to follow up what Cecile and Stajabu were saying. I do think that if the seniors are a large part of the people who attend in person or the live events, that it's important to maintain that participation. That way they can call in, that may be easier for them. Whereas there may be other people who don't get off of work in time to make 4 o'clock, but they may still have the access to view the YouTube recordings and things like that after the fact. So I think if there was a way to kind of identify or survey to see who are the kind of people who would attend live or in person, to see who would benefit the most from changing those times, it might be beneficial. I don't know if that's possible, but if not, it may be a generalization, but I would personally think that there's enough ways to access the meetings after the fact on YouTube, and the people who have that access probably are capable of providing their comments to Lyra to read before the meetings as well, so that their voices are still heard, even if they're not getting the full effect of coming in person, like Cecile was saying.
All right, Martin, you're next.
I think this might be one second. My conclusive comment on the subject. I think, as Commissioner Nunley was mentioning, I again still have concern. I do recognize that mostly more seniors are coming to different meetings and they have want to express their voices. And I still think if we were to seek a variable meeting time, and I know there's I've been in other commissions and government meetings, county supervisor meetings, other places where they do have variable time, city councils in different communities I've been in. And I think after a while, people do understand it and they are able to, as long as the schedule is posted. And then once they understand it, say, hey, one of these meetings is during the day time and one is in the evening. Well, I'm going to try to concentrate on one or the other. I do think there's a growing population of youth, or let's put it young people, millennials, that are struggling with housing and other issues that are working, and they're trying to make their voices be heard. They may not have considered this forum. Maybe there may be ways to get more efforts out to communicate to them as they're trying to seek housing and other issues and concerns. But just the same as seniors need accessibility, so do those that work and that have schedules that are very present significant obstacles to try to participate in public service. I mean, the whole movement these days is to get more participation in public service, not less. So we need to open up more avenues, not less. So if there's a way to provide variability, I would support that. And similar to what my statements were before, but there's multiple populations that have to be considered.
All right.
And what their employment needs are. Thank you.
Okay. I think what Lachelle and Jim said was that The hope is to provide a means of people communicating through Zoom or something like that in the future, even though we still meet collectively. So it's maybe we should think about an earlier hour for those young working people who are working in the service industry who are working at 4 through 6 p.m. That might be something to think about too. Barry, next.
Yeah, technology.
Yeah. Go ahead, Barry.
Thank you, Chair. A quick follow-up to Commissioner Osmani had stated, and Commissioner Stajubu had stated as well, where there is a robust amount of technological ways to get the information from the SHRA meeting post the meeting. But just for information, I do believe the number is either 20 or 25% of the County of Sacramento residents do not have reliable in-home internet service. So those folks can't even watch this meeting. So that's just another variable in the equation to add in of those who aren't counted as a possibility of the viewership over the last year. So just for clarity for everybody who may not know this, again, the County of Sacramento wide, between 20 to 25% of residents do not have a reliable and or no internet service, in-home internet service. In driving the point home, that high percentile, somewhere of the 90%, are the low income housing of that 20 to 25%. So we can't default to say, because we're online and everything's good for us, that's inclusive of 100% of the residents. Just putting that FYI out there. Now, maybe I missed it, but was Jim, was 4 p.m. the requested time for the earlier start?
It was, yes. Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Emmanuel, you're next.
Yes, this would be my final comment. I have two things that I probably want to say. I think there was a time in the past where there was a city council meeting and I wanted to make a comment. I was working at that time. So I definitely took personal time. I scheduled my time to make sure that I was able to make it to just make that comment. Now, did I make the comment every meeting? No, I only did it just for that one because I was very passionate about it. And that's why I feel that when we have our schedules, and we do have a lot of passionate residents who may want to share their thoughts, but also keep in mind that as they do make comments during our meetings, we technically don't even say anything, and we tend to defer to really respond to those, and we don't really say anything during the meeting. But it would be great for them to be able to express themselves, both written and also visually. But as far as getting that interaction, the only thing that they probably would see both electronically and in face is just our facial expressions. So as far as getting that engagement, yes, they can see us, but for us to be able to comment on it, that's something else. The other thing is that as far as making recommendation for the time, I'm fine either way with 4 o'clock, but maybe if we can try to meet in the middle, possibly 4:30, at least to give some type of leeway, but I'm fine either way. But I think that, given multiple options as far as 4:30 may be helpful.
Okay. I'm going to agree with what Jabu said about letting the seniors. I think that's important, and having optional ways of contacting, I think, is a really good thing. I'll accept a motion.
Chair Morgan?
Yes.
I just wanted to also kind of give you my perspective of having done this for 18 years and working at the agency, and obviously been at all of these different commission meetings, and also the work that we do in the community. We find that the time that is for seniors is the afternoons. We have a resident advisory board seniors carry the day. They are the ones who are on the resident advisory board. They are the ones who come to those RAB meetings. They show up because it's at a time where, as Jabu mentioned, that they feel comfortable, that they can get around. Some have different disabilities that make getting around a challenge. What we think is easy for us is not the same for those who have mobility issues, or we've had commissioners in the past who are seniors who have really even almost in dangerous situations driving at night. And it's been problematic and scary. So I just really want to emphasize, how important it is that we do understand, there are a lot of people, but the people who are most engaged are our seniors, and the people who have the most issues in terms of anything past a certain time are also our seniors, versus others who can make adjustments to their schedule, who come to the 5 o'clock city council meeting or the 2 o'clock city council meeting. So, we're meeting beyond the time that even the city council or the county board of supervisors, and many of these items move, well, in fact, just about all of these items move from the commission to the city council as well as to the board. So there's other opportunities for people to speak up. But I know it is important for you to hear, obviously, firsthand, when people want to come to the commission. But I just had to make sure that I made that very clear on behalf of, my experience of seeing this over the years.
So maybe some of our new commissioners don't know it, but my car is a Quantum Edge 2. Just in case y'all didn't know that. It's sitting over here behind me, and I drive with one hand because there's only one joystick on a chair. So some of you just found out that I live in a power chair. So I'm definitely voting for the 4 o'clock based on all that, but I'll open for a motion.
Chair, I should probably just give my 2 cents. I apologize because I'm in San Diego in very difficult times. But as I said last time, I think given the issues of access could be argued so many different ways. Over the years, I've learned to trust staff, and I think having the ability to access before, oftentimes people who are passionate about an idea are already engaged prior to the time it even gets to the board meetings or the commission meetings, and are engaged even after, before it gets to city council or the board of supervisors. So I think we're all, our hearts are all right, and I'm okay if we disagree, as long as we're just stay in love with one another. We can certainly disagree. I'm going to lean on staff's recommendation because it has we've asked them to go away and come back with a little bit of information. They did, and I'm okay with that. So that's just my 2 cents.
So did you want to make a motion, Sam?
Barry has his hands up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Barry, go ahead.
Just a quick question. Since I believe it was Commissioner Amiford that had stated, since all of the commissioners are not here, should we wait till we have full body? I know Commissioner Griffin is the exception, but since our other participating commissioner, Shoemaker Hodge, isn't here, should we wait for the full body that's available to make a vote before we make a motion and vote?
I don't think so.
We never hold a vote because we have more than a quorum.
I understand that. That's in regards to Commissioner SHRA business, not in relation to setting up a schedule for commissioners.
That's also business.
Okay.
So, for anybody wanting to know, this is my vehicle here, in the background.
You know, the thing is, I already knew that, and I forgot. I was like, "What the heck is a quantum car?" Let me see a picture.
Here, now let me fix my picture real quick. There. Anyway, so it would make a big difference for me as far as traveling and everything. I have to catch a bus after the commission meeting to go home. Even from here, I'm at my office downtown, and so I'll need to go out and find a bus to get home. And sometimes we run to 8 or 8 something at night, and that does make a difference. Anyway, that aside.
So I move that we take staff's recommendation and move it.
A second.
I have a motion and a second, Lyra. Roll call, please.
Pardon me. Okay, Amanfor,
Aye.
Boyd,
Can I ask? Can I hold my vote and come back? Bring the vote back to me. Question for, I guess, Brad.
I think according to Robert, I think according to Robert's rule of order, there's a motion and a second, and I think there's call for discussion also.
We've had discussion. We've had a call for a vote. We're moving the question.
So Brad, the question that Commissioner Boyd has is that can we skip him in the order and come back to him for his vote?
I would say no, because like you said, it would be out of order, and you have a question that is being considered now. That is right for a vote.
Thank you, Brad. Can you guys hear me okay? Because my screen is gone funky here.
We can hear you okay. Abstention is always an option also, Barry.
Right, I was trying not to use that. So the motion is to have a 4 p.m. meeting, correct?
Yes.
My vote, aye.
Griffin. Oh, my camera. Morgan.
Aye.
Okay. Let's try to do this. Let's see what we get. Osmani.
Aye.
Nunley.
No.
Ross.
No.
Stajabu.
Aye.
Starks.
Aye.
Wu.
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to the executive director's report.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I'll gotta get rid of Jim off the screen here.
Check me out.
Oh, you can stay there. We don't care.
Bye, Jim.
Bye, everybody.
All right. I think I've had a lot to say in terms of the budget. I really do appreciate the time that the commissioners spend going through the budget in the detail that we do. We get this opportunity each year, and hopefully that's been good information, especially for our new commissioners. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 3rd. And we will also be working on rolling out, a plan in terms of communication about the change in meeting date. Meeting time. Sorry.
Minor panic here, but okay.
Start a whole nother conversation.
Yes. Although, okay, is that it?
That's all. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And will be no commissioner chair's report because it is after 7:30, so I won't report out anything. Item in question of commission members. Seeing none, no birthday announcements, no weddings, no. Okay. With that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Good night.
Thank you.